Rose sat by the old mango tree behind her mother's compound. The sun was setting slowly, throwing a red glow over the village, and the evening wind whispered softly like a broken promise. She held a faded photograph in her hand, staring at it with wet eyes. It was the picture of Bob Marley, not the reggae legend, but the man who had become her own legend of pain, duty, and love. Bob Marley was not just a man. He was a billionaire, owner of oil blocks, shipping companies, and glass towers in Lagos. But in that picture Rose held, he was nothing more than a smiling man in a white shirt, holding her by the waist during the village festival 5 years ago. She remembered his laughter, deep, calm, his arms had felt like home, and she, the simple schoolteacher from the village, had thought that home would last forever. But forever is a cruel word. When Bob Marley came into her life, he came like a storm, unexpected, fierce, and impossible to ignore. He had come to the village for his mother's burial, a ceremony full of wealth and sorrow. The whole town stood still when his convoy of black jeeps rolled in. But in the middle of all that wealth, his eyes had found Rose. "You are not like the others," he had told her that evening, when they met at the stream. "I am just a schoolteacher," she had said shyly, clutching her wrapper. And he had smiled. "That is why you are different. You are real." That night, under the starry sky, he had promised her the world. He spoke of Lagos, of love, of marriage. And when he slipped a diamond ring onto her finger, a ring worth more than the whole village, Rose had felt her life had changed forever. It was the Billionaire's ring, heavy, beautiful, and burning with promises. But duty is heavier than love. Bob Marley was the only son of his father, Chief Adewale Marley, a man whose empire was built with iron and fire. After his mother's burial, Bob Marley had been summoned back to Lagos. The elders said his father needed him to take over the family empire. "Your life is no longer your own," his uncle had told him. Rose had cried that evening when he told her, "And what about us? What about me?" He had pulled her close, his voice trembling. "I love you, Rose. But my father's empire needs me. My family needs me. I cannot walk away from duty." His words fell like stones. She had clutched the billionaire's ring tightly, as though it could hold him close. "Wait for me," he said. "Please, wait for me." And she did. Days became weeks, weeks became months. Letters were scarce, phone calls were brief. His world of duty was pulling him away, little by little. 1 year later, Rose traveled to Lagos. She carried nothing but a small bag and her beating heart. She needed to see him, to remind him of their promise. The city was louder than thunder, and his mansion was taller than her dreams. When she finally saw him, he looked the same, yet different. His eyes were tired, his shoulders heavy. "Rose," he whispered when she appeared at his door. "Why did you come?" "Because I needed to remind you of us," she said, her voice breaking. "Because love cannot survive on silence." He pulled her into his arms. That embrace, strong, warm, desperate, was where she felt life again. In that moment, she understood the power of embrace. It was not just the holding of bodies, it was the holding of souls. But the embrace did not last. A woman entered the room, a tall woman in silk. Her name was Deborah, daughter of a governor. She was the one his father had chosen for him. The ring on Rose's finger suddenly felt heavy, like chains. That night, Bob Marley told her the truth. "My father's empire is at war with itself. If I marry Deborah, the governor's daughter, peace will reign. If I refuse, everything my father built will fall apart. Thousands of workers, families, children, everyone will suffer." Rose felt her chest tear open. "And me, what about me?" "You are my heart," he said, his voice breaking. "But I am not free to choose my heart." She sat in silence. The billionaire's ring glittered on her finger, mocking her pain. Finally, she pulled it off and placed it in his palm. "Take it. If duty is stronger than love, then let duty win." Tears rolled down his face as she walked away. Back in the village, Rose returned to her quiet life. She continued teaching, smiling at the children though her heart was hollow. The nights were the hardest. She would sit under the mango tree, touching the finger where the billionaire's ring once rested. Letters came sometimes, hidden, secret letters. Bob Marley wrote of how he missed her, how his heart was still hers. But each letter ended with the same sentence: "Duty holds me prisoner." Rose never replied. What could she say? Love without touch is like a bird without wings. 5 years later, he returned. But he was not the same man. His eyes were older, his face lined with sorrow. Deborah had left him. His father had died. The empire had crumbled. He came to the village quietly, without convoys. He found her by the mango tree, the same place where it all began. "Rose," he whispered, "after all these years, I have come back for you. She looked at him, her eyes full of old wounds. And what do you bring with you? Nothing but myself, he said. No empire, no father, no duty, only love. There was silence. The evening wind blew again, soft and somber. She could feel the ache of the years between them, the pain of the sacrifices, the emptiness of broken promises. But then he opened his palm. Inside was the same billionaire's ring. I kept it, he said, his voice shaking. Through everything, I could not let it go. Because you are still my forever. Her hands trembled. Tears filled her eyes. The ring, once heavy with sorrow, now felt like a second chance. Rose did not speak. She stepped forward and fell into his arms. His embrace was no longer the embrace of a billionaire. It was the embrace of a man who had lost everything, yet still held love. And in that moment, she realized something. Love is not measured by riches or rings. Love is measured by the willingness to return, even when everything else is gone. They stood under the mango tree, holding each other as though time itself could pause for their embrace. The children in the village watched from afar. Some whispered that it was foolish, others said it was beautiful. But only Rose and Bob Marley knew the truth. Love had broken them, duty had torn them apart, sacrifice had stolen the years. But the power of embrace had brought them back together.